You're watching Paris for Kids.
This is Paris for Kids, and this is video 1, the first of 3 about the Luxembourg Gardens. The Luxembourg Gardens is a place you will probably visit every day when you're in Paris. It's a huge park, and in the southern part on the western side there is the best playground I have ever seen. It's called Le Poussin Vert, which doesn't really translate, but never mind that. Le Poussin Vert is where you should spend your first day in Paris. Half the playground is for children 7 years old and up. It's in the part furthest from the admission booth. There's a huge structure to climb up and slide down, a sort of Eiffel Tower made out of rope, and there's a zip line, which is the hit of the playground. A zip line is a gizmo mounted on a sloping wire. You hold onto the gizmo and down you go. Here, the gizmo is a chain covered in rubber tubing with a footrest at the end. You can either sit on the footrest or stand on it. Believe me, your children will want to ride on this thing for hours. The part of the Poussin Vert nearer to the admission booth is for much younger children. There are many climbing apparatuses and there's a sandbox. I never liked my son playing in the sandbox because there are lots of really young children there and the sand often flies. But you have to be careful in both parts of the playground because the children are essentially unsupervised. The staff are there only to collect the admission fees. The only supervision comes from concerned parents who stay in the playground with their children. And honestly, there are good reasons to be concerned. Children throw themselves down the slides and they try to climb up the slides, and this often happens at the same time. As well, children sometimes climb up where they're not meant to, and if they fall, it's a good 10 to 12 feet to the ground, so they really need to be supervised. But there are other ways in which parents are needed too. I often find myself volunteering at the zip line to make sure no one butts into the line. Also, the zip line gizmos are heavy, so children often need help pulling them up to the launch point. As well, if they're not properly handed off to the next rider at the end point, they slide backwards and crash into the riders behind. This isn't a problem if there are 5 seasoned riders. There are 5 gizmos, and if the children can all pull them up to the launch point, no adult presence is necessary. But there are often 20 to 30 riders, and some are too young and some are scared, and if some adult doesn't take charge, chaos descends quickly. Admission to the Poussin Vert is cheap. Children cost €2.40 and adults get in for €1.20. You can stay from morning till night. It opens at 10 and closes at 7. And you're allowed to leave and go back. Your child's hand will be stamped, but you will also have the tickets. There are lots of benches in the playground for parents. There are also free toilets. The toilets everywhere else in the gardens cost 50 cents a person every time you use them. So the Poussin Vert is really a very good deal. You have to wash your hands in cold water and there's no soap, but at least you can rinse. As well, if you bring a water bottle, you can fill it up there. The drinking water in Paris isn't natural spring water, but it's pretty good. Because you're allowed to leave and go back, you can tie the Poussin Vert in with the rest of the Luxembourg. As you exit the playground, turn right and walk for 30 seconds and you'll find an old wooden carousel that offers a good ride, around 20 cycles, and also a fun game. Children riding on the outer ring of the carousel are given a metal rod with a wooden handle, and the carousel manager holds out metal rings that children try to collect on their rods. The 2 places on the carousel that maximize your child's chances of winning the rings are directly behind the carriages. The manager has had time to reload his ring machine, and your child has plenty of time to aim. The carousel costs €1.50 per ride. Not everything in the Luxembourg is up to the same standard as the playground and the carousel. Just behind the carousel is a marionette theatre called Théâtre du Luxembourg. Everything I read about it was good, so once I decided to go. What a disappointment. The dialogue was pre-recorded. The recording itself was scratchy and distorted. The story was embarrassingly silly. The staging was amateurish, And at €4.80 a person for both children and adults, I found it expensive. In fact, the only good thing about it was that the play lasted only 40 minutes. Do yourself a favor and give the marionettes a miss. Anyway, there's a lot more about the Luxembourg Gardens that's really great. I'll tell you more about that in video 2 of Paris for Kids.